All point of views expressed on Shop Talk 360 are solely the point of views of the individuals and do not represent any company, organization, or group. Shop Talk 360, the industry's dedicated platform for commercial design, construction, and facilities. With more than 25 years building for national retail brands, an award-winning and best-selling author, keynote speaker, industry coach, and event producer, here's our host of Shop Talk 360, Grace Daly.
Hey, Shop Talkers, welcome to another Shop Talk 360 podcast show. Very excited to have with us here my very, very dear friend and industry thought leader, Mike Pallerino. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Grace, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm very excited, too. It's always great to chat with you. We're kindred spirits, as I always say. I just want to share with our listeners, our audience, that with this show, we're going to switch it up a little bit. And actually, I'm going to have Mike interview me. I get a lot of questions and a lot of calls like, hey, what you been working on, Grace? Hey, exciting, Shop Talk 360 is back. But what have you been working on? What do you have planned? So with your help, Mike, being the interviewer, I am now going to turn the mic over to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I think you were afraid you had to mute me if you were going to interview me.
Not at all.
The wild card that I am. Anything comes out of my mouth.
That's what makes podcasting fun, especially with you.
Well, you have a good editor, so I think we're in good shape.
Thank you.
Well, let's start off by telling everybody, let's go inside Shop Talk 360. Tell us a little bit about what's new for this year and just kind of go from there.
Sure.
Good place to start.
Yeah. So really excited to, gear up on Shop Talk 360. We're obviously doing podcasts again and also local panel events, which is very near and dear to my heart. The live events are very special to me because you actually have that FaceTime with your audience that you're always on the air with. And then also there's a couple of video projects I'm working on as well as a writing project. And those will be launched at the end of this quarter. So I'm very, very stoked about that. And there's more to come on that. But really, really excited to get Shop Talk rolling again.
I think that's what people might not realize about you, who was also an industry thought leader, been around doing this a long time, that you write, you do the podcast. Anybody that has a question on anything, you can answer it on the spot. And if you can't get the answer, you can find the answer. So that's one of the benefits of being able to talk to you. I know I lean on you when I'm looking for stuff. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Tell everybody, let's go all historical here. Tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea for Shop Talk 360 and where this journey all started.
Well, so folks who know me from the industry, I used to build with national brands nationwide, and it has owner's rep. So I was the senior director of facilities and remodels or senior director of construction, blah, 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 for many, many brands for well over 20 years. And those are good times. I always joke around with a lot of my colleagues in the industry. That was when we were printing money, right? So everyone was building, and we were rock and rolling back in the 90s into the 2000s. So I always kind of felt that there wasn't a platform to really dive into the people of our industry. So, there's a lot of media platforms for the industry, for the processes, for technology, for materials, for the innovations, but not one that focused more on people. And if you know me, I just love people. I love meeting people. I love the people in the industry. So I really wanted to take Shop Talk 360 to be more focused on the people in our industry, the people who make up our industry, who grow our industry, who we are, what we're about, their own career paths, challenges, lessons learned, and kind of share all that and really kind of celebrate the people as well, too. So we do that through published books, with huge black tie, red carpet events. And we've got one coming up end of this year. So very, very stoked about that.
I think that's one of the beautiful things that you do with Shop Talk, and when you're able to really get behind the people behind the projects. I mean, if you take a brand, we won't shout at any brands right now, but if you take a brand and you meet the people that are on the construction side, the ones that are out there in the field every day, working through all the headaches to get those things. It's really fascinating to see where they came from and how they got to do what they're doing, and you really kind of draw that out of people. So that's really what makes this industry tick. So having a medium where you're able to do that. So if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, how did Mike get on here? How can, what kind of people are you looking for? I mean, who can be, how can someone get on Shop Talk 360, or what are some of the people that you want to showcase?
Well, I showcase the entire industry. I've been known to interview not only brands, but also contractors, architects, designers, engineers, manufacturers, suppliers, lighting folks, flooring folks. I mean, you name it. It's about the industry. And I got to say, because there are some organizations that they're more prone and heavy to the brands. And, so the brands are king, right? And they get everything. And without our partners, who make it happen, we're just only half an industry. So I try to take a very holistic approach and do a great cross-section, speaking to everyone across the board. And newcomers as well, too, which I'm really excited about.
And that's kind of where, if anybody has gone to one of your events, when you're able to get people together and to network, and you'll do a little round table of sorts or get some people to talk, that's really where everybody can see how this all plays out, too, right? Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, I always try to diversify our panels between not only the different types of boxes of physical plants, whether it's retail, restaurant, hospitality, student housing, but also, too, I like to have diversity in terms of how long people have been in the industry. So leadership is a mindset, right? You can be a leader in our industry and have been in our industry for 5 years or 50 years. Leadership is a mindset. So I'm just trying to mix up the room and kind of have some fun with it and really share our learnings.
From where you are now and you look back to where you've been and the road you've taken up, define what the leadership is today for the industry. I mean, are leaders getting better? Are they getting smarter? Are they getting more well-rounded? What is the key to being a good leader?
I think the key to being a good leader is listening, and really listening to your people, to your own team members, to your own employees. And okay, so I've been in corporate America for 20 years, designing, building, maintaining facilities for national chains. But then the last, and in addition to that, 10 years, I've been a business owner. So I get it, and I appreciate when, I'm hired as a consultant to work with certain organizations, senior leaders, on what they're trying to map out and what they're trying to accomplish. But you'll be surprised, Mike, more often than not, a lot of leaders, they don't seek from within. And it's the people from within that made their organization, that actually, grew their success stories, that made their companies. I think it's important for leaders to listen and to always seek within first. Too many times I see a lot of leadership, they're always counting on the consultant. They're always seeking from outside. And okay, that may be good for a different point of view, but I don't think it should be 100% relied on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think what you're saying is something that, and I know I believe in this too, it's really those voices within. If you look at the standard cliche, I'll say, for lack of a better word, of leadership, is a strong leader is somebody who surrounds himself with people that can do and know what they don't. And
that's right.
That's not always a consultant, so I agree with you dead on. You have to get the voices within your own company because they're out there talking to the people in the field, so they're bringing you the feedback from the industry. And from the people that you do business with. So that's a great point.
Thank you. Yeah, I think leaders just, there's no blinders. They're open to all suggestions and all feedback. So I think that's just very important.
Is there a favorite interview of a leader, someone that you talked to that when you were done you said, wow, this person gets it?
You know what?
Spot there. That's my Oprah question. Catch you
okay. Cool. That's not the one that's going to make me cry.
No, we'll get to that one later. I've got that one hidden.
All right. It's interesting you say that, and it's really hard, right? Because every interview, every podcast I do with the guest, I feel very, very honored and humbled by it because I have so much that I take away from it, right? So it's really hard when you say, is there a favorite one? Because there's literally been hundreds of them in the last few years. I'm going to say a recent one that I've done, a few weeks ago was with Greg Carpenter, and that's been posted. Greg Carpenter is with HelloFresh, and Greg Carpenter is a very near and dear industry thought leader, friend of mine. And he comes from the mindset of partnership, so it's very refreshing. I think in this day and age where everyone is looking for the lowest bidder, it's more so about partnership and keeping long-term partnerships throughout your career.
And again, that's spot on. That's the power of leadership, is knowing that who can help you, and it's give and take too. I think that's another important thing, and I think that's what you're saying, is that when you build those partnerships, there's a give and take there, that you're all in it for the same mission, and that's to build the industry, to make the industry better and stronger. And I think it's just amazing that you're able to, like you said, hundreds of people that you've talked to. So when you look at, it's like education. It's like you're in class when you're talking to these people. You can write down notes, and we all pick up things from people. So.
Oh, I do. I write down notes, and I have a blast with it. Something I've recently started to do is I started to kind of quote some folks too, because we can all learn from it, and it's just kind of fun. And you know what? It's just, again, that sharing and collaborating, whether through a tweet or a quote or through podcasts. It's just, again, more of that sharing energy.
So when you look at that, and you look at Shop Talk 360, and you've already touched on some of the exciting things. What is that mission statement, that overall goal? What are you looking to bring it in? And I'll use that cliche that all of us interviewers use in 2020 and beyond. Where do you want to take this?
So the official mission statement of Shop Talk 360 is real conversations with the design, construction, and facilities industry. And it's a platform designed to meet our industry that creates the spaces we work, live, dine, shop, and play in. And that now more than ever, it's about our experience with the built environment. So that's a mission statement I wrote when I first started podcasting, 5-6 years ago. And it still stands true, because my goal is to continue to raise the awareness to our industry, of our industry, and that's accomplished by getting to know the people. And also, too, Mike, I want to say, I am from the industry, for the industry. So I lived in their shoes. I lived the battles with the budgets. I lived going to the bean counters, asking for more money. I lived getting screamed at by operations, on a remodel, on a wire. So I think it brings a little bit more authenticity with our conversations, because I've certainly been in their shoes.
So in the Shop Talk 360 merchandising link, we'll have a T-shirt that says "From the Industry, for the Industry." I love that.
Okay, you know what? I think I might want to do that. Thank you.
So if there's any designers listening out there that want to come up with some logos for that and some designs, I'm going to be the first one to buy one. That's pretty cool.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks.
Got that alliteration working too. From, for. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell me, you mentioned the industry. Give us a snapshot of where you think the industry is today. And I know that it's becoming, when you look at some of the projects, it seems like this whole multi-use projects where there's live, work, and play. I mean, the industry is really embracing what everything is embracing, even the marketing side, where it's all about engagement today. So kind of take us where you see the industry today.
Yeah, so I think there's just been this constant evolution, and it's hit retail the most, of course, the retail landscape. With this constant evolution where we're infusing more and more technology into our physical space, and then it's also more focused on the experience. And it's interesting because obviously they call it the retail apocalypse, and that's another discussion, by the way. And again, it's just evolving, right? And I kind of feel like I have to dispel that, because retail apocalypse, okay, so it doesn't matter what the physical plant is, whether it's retail, whether it's hospitality, whether it's student housing, healthcare, distribution centers. At the end of the day, it's about designing, constructing, and maintaining the physical plant. So I think we got to get out of that mindset of, retail apocalypse, because it's a retail evolution is what it is. So I think we're at a point now where obviously there are a lot of abandoned, slowly dying malls out there, and that will take a huge initiative between public and private sectors to have that revitalized into mixed-use space. And we're starting to see it creeping up a little bit. There's some case studies here and there, but the big wave per se hasn't come yet. But I think it's just a matter of time, because we've got all the space, and we're continuing to evolve, and we're going to be utilizing that space. So that'll be really interesting, I think, in the years to come. I think we've done such a great job with technology, right, of collecting data and having all this technology infused into the physical space so that technology is talking to our phones. I think it's called beacon technology. And so we get all this stuff going on the last couple of years, but I think we still haven't turned a corner. I think, it's almost kind of like, okay, all dressed and like no place to go. Like, okay, we got all this information, now what? So I think in the next couple of years ahead, it's about really fine-tuning that information and really utilizing it to help with the experience for the consumer and also for the employees as well, too, for the store associates, or restaurant associates as well, too.
You made a great point on when you look at what some development companies are trying to do with malls. You're seeing esports centers in malls. You're seeing bowling alleys in malls and fitness centers in malls, and some of these little medical outposts in malls. So they're trying. Do you think, from where you sit and the people that you're talking to, will we be able to? And we go back to that word you used earlier, these partnerships. Are we capable of doing it as an industry, of making all of those, everybody rise up for the same cause?
Sure, I really feel we are. And again, it's just a matter of so the mindset now is more about collaboration, and that's my favorite word, by the way, for this year. Collaboration. It's about partnerships. It may take a while, but it will be done. So many of these spaces are being revitalized even into micro apartments, or offices, and to your points, destination points like gyms and theaters and even churches. Some folks are moving into those larger spaces. So it's going to be very interesting, but like anything, it's dynamic and it's ever evolving.
That's the fun part.
Keeps us busy, keeps us on our toes.
Exactly. Now, what do you think that the industry can do better? I know that's a big question, but if you had to bring it into a snapshot, what can we do better? I mean, you mentioned collaboration and partnership.
Yeah, I think, thanks to so many industry organizations out there that actually do certifications for our professionals in our industry, whether it's facilities management or construction or project management, I think we've done better with raising the awareness of the professionals in our industry. I think, though, sometimes when I do talk to some folks, there seems to be some hesitancy when it comes to really claiming their own expertise in our industry. But that starts with the individual, right? And it starts with, leadership and really taking that seat at the table, because the seat is there now. If we had this discussion 10 years ago, it would have been very different, especially with the facilities profession, where facilities may not have been included as much in the design process, even though facilities owns the total life cycle of that space. So now I think we've turned a corner and there is a seat at the table, but it's the individuals and whether they're going to step up and take that seat. So I really think as an industry, we can do better by just really claiming and embracing our own expertise and being boisterous about it.
Right. And I think there's also a push to try to get young people, the new generation, involved in getting excited about being involved in the industry. And I think, you and I have both gone to tons of industry events, and we kind of see the old guard, but we're starting to see some of the new guard. So that's been encouraging. And more women, too. Has been good.
Without a doubt, it's been a growing demographics of women. And it's interesting, too, because back to the new generation of the new guard, we do have a shortage of qualified licensed tradesmen, okay, electricians, plumbers, carpenters. When there was the economic downturn, we lost a lot of smaller businesses or people just retired. And IFMA was one of the first organizations that I'm aware of that called us out, 7-8 years ago, where we do have shortage, and they've been really trying to embrace that with connecting the universities where these kids are going to school for facilities management or construction management directly with a lot of companies in our industry. So there's a direct career path to try to encourage that more. So there's definitely an opportunity to really focus more on what we can do as an industry to encourage more tradespeople.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, we sat in meetings and when the downturn hit, and everything looked bleak. But I think what you've had is an economic upswing here over the last decade, really, that has really been an economy that's been pushing itself up, and the industry's I think it's learned from its mistakes. We hope it has. And I think as you continue to talk to people, you'll kind of bear that out. What have we learned and what haven't we learned?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why just having any type of media platform where there's interaction and shared learnings is so near and dear to me, and it's so important for the industry.
And it's a good segue into, if you can accomplish one thing, and it's not my Oprah question yet, if you can accomplish one thing for this industry, what is it and why? It's kind of Oprah-ish, but...
It is kind of Oprah-ish. So one thing would be that the landscape of our industry and what we do, design, build, maintain, it's certainly changing, but it's not going away. The physical plant is always going to be there. The box is always going to be there. What we put in the box and what we do in the box is going to change and evolve. So I just want to impress upon that, because you hear so much negativity, so much doom and gloom. But at the end of the day, we still need boots on the ground, still need people managing the process and overseeing the process. I think if folks stay connected and focused to that, it'll help. And that paired with the collaboration leadership mentality, I think they'll help them be more successful in what they do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's good, again, as we mentioned earlier, it's good to see new voices, young voices. And young doesn't necessarily mean millennials, young voices. It could be these people that are coming from other industries and sharing best practices that have worked in other places. So that's always encouraging to see. So I wanted to ask you this. Do you remember, because you and I talk, and I feel like I've known you for 20 years. Do you remember the first time we met?
Absolutely. We met probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it was under extraordinary circumstances. If I recall, people were parachuting indoors. Is that what is that called?
It's like a simulated skydiving. What do they call that? Yeah, so it's like...
I think for the lack of a better term, we'll go with simulated skydiving. But and I believe you and I were the only ones that didn't do it. So that's how we ended up sitting there for several hours just talking like we were, two high school friends.
I know, and we just clicked, and ever since then, we've always been able to kind of connect on that level. Yeah, it was great. Yes, that's right. I remember.
Denver. I think we were in Denver.
It was in Denver. And you didn't participate. Was it because it was like you had a shoulder surgery?
My shoulder. I didn't want to be going up and down and have my shoulder be below me and above me and below me.
Yeah. That would
everybody was giving me a hard time. Oh, you can do it, and you said, I don't know about that. So I went and asked one of the professionals there, and I showed him what I could do with my shoulder, and she looked at me and said, yeah, go sit down.
And you know what? And with me, I had just come back from travels, a lot of flying recently.
You were.
And about a week ago, before this conference, I had like vertigo, like really bad, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, let's rethink this. You know what I mean? I don't want any of my ear crystals getting shook loose when I'm trying to do this simulated
parachuting, skydiving.
Yeah.
And the only downside, there were no adult beverages. It was just a bottle of water and just our cell phones videotaping people screaming. So.
That was great. I mean, everything we shared too, I'm thinking to myself like, geez, this could be a book right here. You know what I mean? It was good stuff. It was great meeting with you and sharing. And like I said, always felt we're kindred spirits.
I would agree. So my Oprah question, and then we're done, is and people, you can probably edit this out, but if you had to be a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Oprah actually asked that question.
And you know what? Yeah, I love that question. And that is an Oprah question. And I'm not going to edit out because it is very near and dear to me. Okay. If I had to be a tree, oh my gosh, I think I'm really going to get emotional here. If I had to be a tree, I would be a ginkgo tree. Okay? And the reason for that is So ginkgo and the ginkgo berries and nuts, really the nuts, are very popular in the Chinese culture, cooking and so on and so forth. And in the last 20 years, they've been very popular for supplements and aiding in folks with their memory and so on. So I would be a ginkgo tree because when my dad was alive and my mom was younger, they would both go to these nearby ginkgo trees that were just a short walk away from their home, and they would pick these ginkgo berries and get the nuts out of them and then use them. So, yes, hands down, without a doubt.
That's awesome. That's a great story. It is emotional.
Yeah, it is, and I'm actually getting a little choked up. So you've done your job as Oprah.
Thank you, Oprah.
Well, that was great, though. But yeah, the ginkgo tree is very near and dear to my heart.
Perfect. This has been fun.
This is great. Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thank you for taking the time to kind of interview me. It's always refreshing to be interviewed as opposed to interviewing other folks, and really appreciate your support as I gear back and start rolling with Shop Talk 360 again.
Well, I'm excited, and I hope when you do edit it down, once you get past all of my comments, you'll probably have about 9 minutes of good podcast. So, maybe 9 minutes.
Oh, Mike, you're so awesome. I can't wait to connect with you again in person, possibly at a future event. That would be awesome, and I look forward to interviewing you sometime.
Oh, that would be a pleasure. It would be
okay.
An honor to do it. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks for joining Shop Talk 360, real conversations in the commercial design, construction, and facilities industry. You can reach out to us at grace@gracedaily.com.